Sidelines with Rob Browne. Talk sporty to me.
All right, good morning and welcome to the Saturday edition of Sidelines. Rob Browne here with you. We're going to be joined in just a moment by Loran Smith over in Augusta at the Masters. Going to have a lot of fun with that one. Also have Doug Dean checking in with us from Birmingham, Dave Tompkins down in Sarasota. So a lot to talk about. The Masters, man, some bad weather there yesterday. Those big tall pine trees, they fall over. Man, that was pretty scary. I'm sure everybody saw that video that was out there, and they ended up having a couple of delays yesterday. So be interesting to get Lauren's take on what's happening. But Doug Dean again, Dave Tompkins, Buddy Martin, Kevin Scarbinsky was going to be on with us, but he's feeling kind of rough this morning. Might have the flu, allergies, whatever. There is a lot of pollen in the air. And Audrey woke up this morning, feel like she got hit in the head. And it wasn't like we were, St. Patrick's Day or something like that with a hangover, but lots of stuff to cover right now. College baseball, college football, college basketball. We're here 6 days a week with you, folks. Twitter, follow us at sidelines_live. And remember, Monday through Saturday, we're here 2 hours every day. Check us out, www.sidelines.live. Looking for a great way to work out. Monday, April 17th, rumbleboxinggym.com/Midtown Memphis. We'll have the grand opening. You can get the Founders Club memberships now. There's still those are available. They're going to be starting again Monday, April 17th. Audrey and I went over there Thursday, checked out the facility. 24 punching bags hanging up from the ceiling, just unbelievable. It's like where Rocky worked out. 24 weight benches with dumbbells, instructors in the middle leading the 45-minute workouts. They've got really beautiful lockers. The whole facility is fantastic. Union and McLean in Midtown Memphis. I suggest if you want to take your workouts to another level, instead of lifting weights and looking at yourself in the mirror, join Rumble Boxing Gym. Punch the bag, do all the workouts, the plyometrics, the weights, the dumbbells, all that combined, 45 minutes of that, and you will have earned your stripes for the day. Dave Tompkins, let's get started now with Dave. Dave, yesterday watching, and Loran Smith will be on here with us momentarily, watching the Masters. That's a big logistical project to clear 35,000 plus patrons course when bad weather comes. It's like a football. You can have 100,000 people in a stadium, and if there's a lightning strike in 8 miles of the stadium, clear the stadium. Now, Dave, you and I both know when we were growing up, if we were practicing, the rain would be around the practice field, but not on.
So true.
You are not allowed to interrupt practice except on a few occasions. Now, as soon as there's, it's like we suddenly learned, lightning. We don't want that. But if it's just raining, I think they will continue to play. Correct?
Well, I had a breakfast appointment this morning at 8 Eastern and got back home getting ready for the show and just assumed ESPN would be SportsCenter, and I turn on ESPN, and lo and behold, there's Jim Nantz talking, and they're on 14, and Xander Schauffele's putting out, and oh my God, they're playing. And of course, everyone's in rain suits, and everyone's bundled up, and play continues. And going back to the show yesterday, I'm wrong, and Loran is right. They're going to finish tomorrow. Come hell or high water, and There's no electricity in the air in terms of lightning. It's just cold and rainy, and they're going to play all day and finish in a couple hours and make the cut line and repair and restart, and off they go. And tomorrow we will have a final round and a winner and green jacket ceremony and all the like. It as the Talking Heads song goes, same as it ever was.
Well, it makes sense. If there's lightning, yeah, you want to get everybody out of there. You don't want to run that risk. But just rain, I think the high today is supposed to be 51 degrees. So that's going to be cold. I mean, I'm outside right now. It's in the 40s here in Parkin, right outside of Memphis over at the farm. It's cold. It's windy. It's cloudy. You better dress for it. You're not going to see everybody walking around in shorts and golf shirts today. But the golfers, I mean, they're prepared for this. They're looking at the weather technically from every possible angle. But watching yesterday, Koepka, he's in the lead right now.
Wow.
And then you see Rory McIlroy was 5 over yesterday, and you got to make that 2 to make the cut. So let's kind of walk it back for a sec. Today, they're going to spend a couple of hours to catch up to where they'll make the cut, and then they'll play another 18 after that to get everybody finished, and another 18 tomorrow. That's simple.
Yeah, let's assume that Brooks Koepka wins, and let's assume he wins the way he won his first 4 majors. He wins going away. He just dominates the field. I mean, no one's really in second place. What's the narrative going to be after that? Here's a guy that defected to the LIV Tour that we never see anymore. That's pretty audacious on Twitter, etc. It's going to be real interesting to see. Going all starting at Butler Cabin, and what's the interplay between Jim Nance and Fred Ridley and Brooks, and then going from there, what happens? I think this is I was a little kid when there was the NFL and the AFL and Joe Namath won Super Bowl III and what happened after that. There might be that moment coming up here in golf. Who knows? And I'm a traditionalist. I'm on the side of the PGA Tour, et cetera. But it's going to be very interesting to see what happens, particularly if Brooks Koepka wins and if he wins going away, in my opinion.
In fact, Dave Cody, one of our listeners, our friend, he's out in Bellingham, Washington, the pro at the golf course where he works right by Mount Baker, picked Koepka to win. That was his pick. So we're hanging in there, but he was 12 under yesterday. You get on a roll going in, trying to wrap up day 2. You still got to hold serve. You're halfway there. I like how Loran yesterday, he'll be joining us momentarily, talked about Greg Norman and LIV. It's 54 holes. That was where he was always at his best. And you look at the number of golfers who are what they call, again, I'm not a golfer like you are and Loran and all, but they collapse on that back 9, what they call amen corner. And people let the moment become bigger than what it really is. That 6 inches between your ears is critical at this point, isn't it?
But yeah, by the way, a shout out and a plug to your show. Yesterday was just truly extraordinary. Your show and your information you provided on Shug Jordan and his military service and all that. And then what Loran talked about Nick Faldo's, biggest, fist pump ever was when he made the putt on 17 on Saturday, because he knew in 1996, he knew he was going to be paired with Norman on Sunday and had a 5-shot lead. And basically beat him by, I think, 7 shots. I think there was a 12-stroke differential, something like that on Sunday in 1996. And, that's it. I mean, the old saying goes that the Masters doesn't begin until the second 9 on Sunday. And so, we'll see with Brooks. He's got a long delay today until he plays. He probably won't tee off till much later this afternoon. Probably won't get all 18 holes in today. Have to get up in the morning and play tomorrow to finish the 3rd round. And does the fact that he has not played a 72-hole tournament factor into how he can finish? Now, my personal opinion is he's going to finish. He's going to finish strong. He's a total alpha, and then we'll go from there. But what do I know? I mean, that's the whole thing. Is that the gods that rule the Masters have power over what's about to happen, and we don't know. All we can do is sort of sit back and enjoy.
Yeah, and there's so much interest in that. And I turned on the Golf Channel this morning, and I don't know what's going on, but they're giving golf lessons from one of the courses down in Palm Beach. And so they're not at the Masters, but really all they've really let them do so far, the Golf Channel, they're always at where their driving range. And there's just so much that goes on behind the scenes, and weather and all that stuff. It's a big issue. And, you think about so many of these golf instructors, Dave, and you understand this, they're the technicians, the little stuff is so big in the end in golf. And I was watching a golf pro this morning on the Golf Channel, and he took a spatula. He goes, if you happen to have a spatula, which you have for two, and he used it to show the difference in spacing in your wrist and the club or something like that. But it's really interesting to watch. And you think about Ben Crenshaw and his great instructor. And a lot of these are legendary instructors. And they weren't necessarily the best golfers themselves.
Yes.
But they understand all the technical minutia of the game, don't they?
Yeah, and I think Harvey Penick, Ben Crenshaw's an instructor, and I'll just start there with Masters lore as we're waiting for Loran to come on. Ben won his last Masters in 1995, and he won the week earlier the week in the week of the Masters. His instructor Harvey Penick passed away, and Ben was heartbroken and was thinking about not coming to the Masters and stuff and not playing. And his wife, told him to go. And he was, at the end of his career, not anywhere on top of his game, and got to Augusta National, and something happened. And he won the tournament and won in pretty convincing fashion. And the instructors, certainly have all the technical aspects of the game, but the really good ones know how to get inside the 6 inches and how to, get into whether you're a PGA Tour player or a live player or, some, dumb luck amateur like us. They know how to get inside of our, between our ears and give us one little thought to say, okay, now this can get us to, make the swing we need to, make the putting stroke we need to. And that's what's so wonderful about golf, and particularly majors and particularly the Masters, is that at some point in the tournament, that thought leaves you. And when you're out, in the Masters and those undulating greens, I mean, you're exposed, you're naked. And all of a sudden you're out there all by yourself, and you're on camera, and you're looking at some sliding downhill putt, and you're terrified as bejesus. And I love that about golf. I really do.
Yeah. Well, and watching these golfers, the relationship they have with their caddies is really neat. And so you remember when Brooks Koepka there was a question about him and his caddy communicating and giving advice or something. That's one thing about golf. It's such a sport of honor. I mean, absolute. You've got to. It's about trust and all these little things. But and they cleared that up, so that was good. I love the way here at Augusta to watch the way the members, as Loran said yesterday, have to participate in the tournament. I mean, it's their club, so everybody's got to do something. And I think that's really neat. They're vested. They take a lot of pride. If you live somewhere, you're going to take pride in where you live. You're going to cut the grass, you're going to maintain the landscaping, make sure it looks good. If it's given to you for free and you don't have any skin in the game, it's probably going to look like crap. But the Master, there's Pebble Beach. You look at, for instance, look at the British Open over there. I mean, I've been to the UK several times, been all over Ireland, Scotland, England, and Wales. They're not real flashy, but they they don't call it the British Open, as Loran said. It's the Open.
It's the Open.
Because they started golf.
Yeah.
The Catholic Church for the first 1,500 years was the church. And so when people talk about the church, they were for 1,500 years. That's what an incredible golf course Augusta National is. But I was surprised yesterday when Loran said how many locals are members of Augusta. But that makes sense. I mean, they are there all the time.
If you were to get a list out and write down all of the traditions of the Masters, you could draw a direct line and say nearly all of those same traditions are the traditions of St. Andrews, the Royal and Ancient Golf Club of St. Andrews, the Muirfield. I mean, all the great clubs over in England, Scotland, and Ireland. I mean, all the same traditions. It looks completely different. They don't maintain the golf courses over there like Augusta National does, and so maybe that's the one difference. But the same traditions apply. I love going over to Scotland and Ireland to play golf. I mean, you walk, you have a caddy, you play golf in 3 hours, you observe the rules. There's complete etiquette, but there's, when it's your turn, you hit. It's very inspiring to go over there, just as it is to watch the Masters, to play Augusta National, et cetera. And Mr. Jones, Bobby Jones, knew that, and I think that was in his mind when he developed the concept and then the golf course and the Augusta National and the event that's the Masters.
Yeah, and when you go to Atlanta, my niece lives there and Billy Roberts lives there, and we'll go within walk or run around Capital City Golf Course there in Atlanta, and I think that's another one of Bobby Jones' courses. And the houses, a lot of the houses in that neighborhood around the golf course, it looks like Augusta, like houses pushed way back with white columns out front. Looks a lot like what you see at the Masters, and then magnolia trees in the yards and all. But the design, one thing about golf is like, I would say, trout fishing. You can't find a more beautiful place to go fish than when you're trout fishing, because it's on a whitewater stream in the mountains somewhere typically. Right. And unless they stock them in a lake, which they do a lot around here. But this atmosphere, and Loran, I love how because he picks up on all the subtleties. I mean, this is 64 straight for him right now. And the competition, the mental part of it is, to me, fun to watch. There's so many head games going on with all the golfers and all. But you mentioned and Dave Cody's listening, and he knows Ben Crenshaw and these people. He was sports anchor Channel 7 in Austin for 36 years. But without your instructor, you are flying blind. I mean, it's almost like being a pilot without having air traffic control on the ground. Let's take a quick break. We're going to come right back. Dave Tompkins, Rob Browne here with you. Lauren Smith joining us in a little bit. Doug Dean as well. Buddy Martin later. Gator Bait Media. Great show ahead. Hang in there.
From Hewitt & Dunn, just coming to let you know about our new collection of boots. It's going to be our dress boots. They're the Horsepower collection, and they're genuine exotic leathers and really comfortable. Comes in all different sizes and patterns, so come check them out.
Hi, I'm Eleanor Maynard, a fourth-generation residential broker with Hobbs & Realtors. Inventory is still a record low in Memphis, and the demand for more supply is continuing to spread across the Mid-South. Rates are starting to stabilize, which means the number of buyers is picking up daily. If you are interested in taking advantage of today's market, please give me, Eleanor Maynard, your Sidelines Live residential specialist, a call today, and let's discuss your needs. 901-761-1622 or directly on my mobile, 901-219-1905. That's 219-1905.
Red River Ford and Toyota, located in Wynne, Arkansas. If you're in the market for a new or used car, truck, or SUV, call, go online, or drop by and see them. Located 45 minutes from Memphis, go off the 4 City exit on I-40 and go north about 15 minutes on Highway 1. Easy to work with and still believe in customer service. If you live out of town, they will deliver your vehicle to you. RedRiverFordToyota.com. Just see what they can do.
Strengthen your seed zone this spring with quality tillage equipment from House Industries. Located in Cherry Valley, Arkansas, House Industries specializes in manufacturing superior equipment that will minimize your downtime and keep you working in the field. To ensure the highest quality control, all design, fabrication, and testing takes place in a 99,000 square foot manufacturing facility located right here in the heart of the Delta. Locate your nearest House equipment dealer online at houseindustriesinc.com.
House Industries, breaking ground.
Sidelines with Rob Browne. Talk sporty to me.
Dave, as this tournament goes on, the build up to the Masters is so big. Then after the Masters, you have all these other tournaments. I mean, this is early in the season, but I think it's pretty fun to watch the live golfers. They're all here, the ones that want to be. They're out because it's not. This isn't run by the PGA, so
right.
they can come to this. And Loran Smith, his comments. He's not a big fan of the LIV. We talked with Mark Schlabach.com on the show with us a lot. And Mark is a great football writer, also big into golf. In fact, he said the more this NIL and the portal keeps grabbing the headlines in college football, it makes him want to cover golf even more. But mentally, it's a really tough game. When Jack Nicklaus won in 1986 the Masters, he was 46 years old. So it makes him 83 now. That's not old, but it was considered to be such a big deal at 46. That seems young. Okay.
Well, Tiger's 47 now, and so Tiger's older now than Jack was when Jack won in 86. And that was thought to be the all-time, achievement by a senior citizen. And, and then, a couple of years ago, Phil won his last PGA at Kiowa, up, near me in Beaufort, at the age of 51.
Well, so at 51, Phil Mickelson won a major tournament. Was it 51?
He was either 50 or 51. He was at least 50. He had his AARP card when he won.
Okay.
We'll have to check Wikipedia after the show, but I think he was 51, but I could be wrong.
Okay. So you don't have to go and play on the seniors tour at any certain age. It's just when you're ready to go. Correct?
Well, yeah, 50 is the age, and Mickelson's played in a couple Champions Tour events, and I think he might have won every event he's played on the Champions Tour, but he still wants to compete, with the young guys. He's 4 under right now. I mean, he's very much in contention, and I think he's still got some good golf ahead of him. I think I'm a Tiger fan. And I think Tiger has 1 or 2 more majors in him that he will compete and contend. When that's a stretch. It's just too big of an ask given all the medical problems he's had and probably some challenges inside between his ears. But what a great champion. The bookends of his Masters wins in 2019, with his son Charlie right there, and then 1997 with his father Earl there. That's a storybook career at the Masters. Only eclipsed by Jack Nicklaus because Tiger's won 5, Jack has won 6, and that 1986. So I bought we got some time here. I'll tell a fun story. So I just arrived in Germany for my military service in late March of 86. And so the Masters was in early April of 86. I went to the PX to buy a TV just to watch the final round of the 1986 Masters on Armed Force Television. So with my little black and white TV with the rabbit ears, and I was aluminum foil trying to get so I get the reception. I watched the 86 Masters, the final round, and Jack's back 9, and it's I've got it on tape now, and when I'm in my nostalgic moments, every year, Masters Week, I watch it again, and I can call every shot and whatnot because that was just so magical.
Well, and Doug Dean is on with us from down in Birmingham with us right now. Doug, Dave is from Mountain Brook, lives over in Beaufort, South Carolina, went to West Point. I was introduced to him by our good friend Maury Gaston, and Dave used to be the chairman up at Churchill Downs. I think you've been on with Dave before, and is a golf fanatic. And Loran Smith is out there somewhere. He keeps saying I'm coming on, and whereabouts unknown, but he should be joining us. But Doug, we were just talking about it. There's no certain age when you have to go on the seniors tour, but you're a very mentally sharp, like you and Dave both understand golf.
Some would dispute that.
Watching the Masters so far, Brooks Koepka, that's who Dave Cody's the pro at his club out in Bellingham, Washington, picked to win it. He's got a big lead right now. Weather and all that, they just deal with it. I mean, it's not a factor because it's the same for everybody else, isn't it?
Yeah, and good to be with both of you, Dave. I'm a 7-iron from Mountain Brook, where I'm sitting off Rocky Ridge. I live in Vestavia, but when I pull up the Weather Channel, it says Mountain Brook. So I'll claim it. If that helps my street cred, I'll claim it, right?
Well, we moved to Vestavia in my senior year in high school, and I lived on Beaumont Drive, right on the same drive as Vestavia Country Club.
Fantastic. It's a beautiful area, and I love the rolling foothills around here. If you're ever in Birmingham, Rob can give you my number, Dave. If you're
cool.
in Birmingham, let me buy you lunch or an adult beverage. That would be fun. So, you're not going to hear any of these professional golfers whine that it was unfair that Koepka got the weather conditions he did, because everybody else, for the most part, had some opportunities to go out and dominate. But he's well from his injury, isn't he?
He sure is.
He's a dadgum machine. And, I don't want to speak for anybody else, but there's a part of my brain, I don't know why it is, it's probably classless, that wants to not like Koepka for some reason, because he's such a machine. I relate more. I love to see the golfers that, hit it in the wood like Sandy. I've got a Sandy Lyle story before we sign off that y'all will be amused by.
That incredible bunker shot on 18 and 88 to win the title. He had to hit it a long way up a big lip and did it. That's one of the great shots. I think one of the more underappreciated shots in the history of golf. That second shot on 18.
Do we have a second before break, Rob?
We got how much before the break, Audrey? Yeah, we're good. We're good. Yeah.
This is a quick, and I'm sort of the brunt of this story, which I'm happy to take one for the team. But a year ago at the Regions event for the seniors,
Greystone.
We lost our show host. Anyway, so a year ago, I was invited by Blue Cross which I should have declined, but the ego got the best of me, to be part of their Pro-Am team, which was a new experience for me. And I'm kind of a bogey golfer, like most people that are working stiffs. And Sandy Lyle was our pro. And so as fate would have it, we get to tee off at the 10th hole. And as y'all can imagine, you would rather, if you're not a veteran, experienced, single digit handicap golfer, you would rather be on some obscure hole without any gallery, right?
Right.
And no, I'm not
14.
The story of my life is captioned by the demotivational poster. Your life, the purpose of your life may be to serve as a warning to others. So we get not only the 10th hole with a huge gallery, but guess what group was directly in front of us going off the tee? Coach Saban's group.
Oh, wow.
So, we get up to the tee and you're just trying to breathe. And
I already feel inferior. Now I feel more inferior.
Yeah. You want to make contact. And Saban made a great shot to the green. It was a par 3. So I got up there. It was the third off the tee, and they announced your name, which didn't help either, the anxiety. And I was happy with the contact the ball made, and it's flying, and it's unfortunately it sort of slices a little, but barely right, and it hit the top of the tent covering the gallery, and miraculously my guardian angel came through, and the ball bounded left, hit the green, and I started hearing the gallery cheering, and the ball is rolling. My ball is believe me, I'm a bogey golfer, more like double bogey. The ball is rolled within 3 feet of the pin, the cup.
Wow.
And I said, okay, now the next set of nerves will be, you can't miss this 2-foot putt. So Sandy Lyle came after me. He hits a beautiful shot, but it's short. He's got about a 20-foot uphill putt for birdie. So he naturally, he drains his 20-foot putt for birdie. And I go up there and I said, just don't think about what's going on here. Just do what you do. And I was able to knock that birdie putt in. And believe me when I say it was downhill from there, but that's my Sandy Lyle moment. And what a guy. He was a complete gentleman, teaching us some things throughout the round. And it's kind of sad to see him go to 18 yesterday, and some bureaucratic marshal decided they couldn't let him, if you read about that, couldn't let him putt out with his family in the gallery there. That was stupid.
So if it's the regions, it's 10. It's the par 3. I think you were playing at Greystone Founders Course. I know that par 3 quite well, and a lot can go wrong from there. You could hit a slice and end up on the driving range. But
Absolutely.
It sounds like your tee shot was maybe headed a little bit that way, and grace of God hit something and bounded near the. And that's
I'm gonna be a one and done in the pro-ams.
Sandy Lyle's
Augusta, as Larry Munson would say. Loran, what do you got? Loran Smith is with us right now, and Loran, what a wild day yesterday. Couple of rain delays, and here we are. You said it yesterday, come hell or high water, the Masters will be finished by Sunday evening, not have to go to a Monday or Tuesday format, but you're back in Augusta. So what's the stage for today?
Well, I think if there's not any electricity above, they'll get through today. And I don't know what the weather forecast is for Sunday. I haven't checked it, but it's supposed to be pretty decent. That was the early forecast. So as long as they can play, and they will play in the rain. The rain's not a problem. It's the lightning that scares everybody, because you got to think about the fans, the safety of the fans. There's nowhere to go except under a tree, and sometimes that's not very good. So, or can be bad. So you just don't take any chances. And they measure the lightning as they do for all, like every football team, they measure the lightning, even though most teams have indoor facilities they prefer, or the coaches do, to practice outside. So you got that indoor facility across college football for such things as rain and lightning. You can get your work in if the weather's bad outside, but you don't have that fallback on a golf course. So they worry about the fans. But I think if you get through today, then it'll be, and the weather's good tomorrow, it won't be too bad.
Loran, Doug Dean in Birmingham, apologies for my logo. It just happened to be the hat that was in my hand when I stumbled in the dark. But it's an honor to share the microphone with the great Loran Smith. I really appreciate your insight about all things Georgia athletics and SEC for that matter. But
you're in luck. I can't see.
I'm not James Spann, but looking at the app, they should be in good shape tomorrow with as far as rain goes, with the exception of northeast 10 to 20 mile an hour winds. So that'll test these golfers.
Yeah, we might have a more exciting finish. I like the wind. I've always enjoyed going to the British Open, and I went until COVID hit, and I hadn't been since then. But the wind just made it so much more fun to watch the British Open, particularly on Sunday, because the guys that could play in the wind, they were the ones who wind up most often winning. That's why Lee Trevino was so good over there, and of course Jack Nicklaus is good everywhere he played.
Tom Watson.
And then Tom Watson. Of course, Tom grew up in Kansas City, and he never left Kansas City. He didn't go south, for example. He knew something about testy weather, and Jack Nicklaus just learned to play in it. He would figure a way to win, and he always did anywhere he played. But I think the wind makes it much more interesting because it makes the shots so difficult. Like at number 12, they all talk about how 12 is such a bad, well, it's not bad, it's just such a challenge because the wind swirls and you can't tell where to hit the ball. But as Sam Snead said, it doesn't matter where you hit it. If you miss it long. You don't
miss it left there for sure on
right.
12.
Loran, it's good to see you're a sadistic golf fan like me. You love to see the wind mess with these guys.
Well, I think if they're going to be millionaires, they ought to make it fun for the fans.
Well, again, going back to earlier in the show, that's what's so wonderful about the tie between the Masters and the Open, the British Open. The wind is so important at Augusta National, and you're on 12T and you're looking down at 11 green and the wind's blowing one way, and then you're looking, at 12 green and the wind's blowing another way, and it gets between your ears. And, how many Masters have been lost on that one tee shot? I mean, it's the scariest short, par 3, in the world. And that's what we love about it. And, tomorrow wind's going to be a factor, and I can't wait to watch it.
Well, it always has been a factor with a lot of players. You either get through Amen Corner and smile, or you think about what might have been. I'll tell you a funny story that Vern Lundquist told me. I had dinner with him on Tuesday night, and he tells a story about Steve Melnick getting the call from Pat Summerall. Y'all remember Pat?
Sure.
And Steve was being a little theatrical, I guess you might say. And he says, "Patrick, thank you. We're down at the par 3, 155-yard 12th hole at the tall Georgia loblolly pines." Or
as only Steve Melnick can say.
As the waters of Ray's Creek go meandering by, Nick Faldo is on the tee. He's chosen a 6-iron. The wind is rushing from his rear.
One of my favorite Melnick calls was in '86 when Jack won and he birdied 11. 3 birdies in a row, 9, 10, and 11. And the crowd rises as one as he walked up to the 12th tee, and he ended up bogeying 12. But man, I knew at that point that Jack was going to win his 6th jacket. That's probably the single greatest sports watching afternoon of my life was Jack in '86.
Just there's no equal to it, and as much as we all have loved what Tiger Woods has done at Augusta, it's just, I think possibly even Tiger, except on a personal level, would say, yeah, I mean, maybe I can claim one of my victories ties that one, but as far as pure excitement with such a comeback, it's just amazing.
According to Tiger, it was Nicklaus in '86 at the Masters when Tiger said, "I'm going to be a great golfer." That was his light bulb moment, and that's what really kind of sparked his career. If you believe what he said, and I do, and I mean that was in my opinion the greatest 2 hours of sports ever. Was Jack on the second 9 in Augusta in '86.
Well, what it made it so interesting, I think, his son Jackie was his caddy. And Jackie told me they got to the 17th hole. And, you guys haven't gotten there, you will. As you age, you lose a little, all of your senses, eyesight included. And they read the putt, and Jackie said, I think he's a little bit out. I think he's read it fairly straight. Jackie
Straight, yep. He read it straight, yep.
And then Jack said, no, says, I've had this putt before.
It goes towards Ray Creek.
Yeah, exactly. So,
I'm sorry, Dave, go ahead.
Hey, hold that thought. We got to go to a break. We're going to come right back. I want to hear this. Doug Dean, Loran Smith, Dave Tompkins talking Masters, classic stuff right after this.
Hi, I'm Eleanor Maynard, a fourth-generation residential broker with Hobbs & Realtors. Inventory is still a record low in Memphis, and the demand for more supply is continuing to spread across the Mid-South. Rates are starting to stabilize, which means the number of buyers is picking up daily. If you are interested in taking advantage of today's market, please give me, Eleanor Maynard, your Sidelines Live residential specialist, a call today, and let's discuss your needs. 901-761-1622 or directly on my mobile, 901-219-1905. That's 219-1905.
Browne back with this distinguished panel on Masters Saturday. And speaking of spring and golf, get out to Hewlett and Dunn Boot and Clothing Company on the historic square in Collierville, Tennessee. They've got duck heads, and more duck heads. Great looking golf shirts. And you got to love duck heads. That's the one that's been around. That and wallabies and good Scotch whiskey. You can't beat it. But keep going, because before the break, Loran, you were talking, and we all want to hear this.
Well, anyway, Jackie's comment was after Jack told him he was going to hit it left and let it, break towards Ray's Creek. Said his memory told him what his eyes couldn't see. So that was one of the turning points in the round from Jackie's perspective. So, there's so many traditions and so many interesting little vignettes. I had fun talking to Tommy Aaron, and he's never talked a lot about the DiVincenzo incident, which happened in 1968.
68, yep.
He wrote down 3 when DiVincenzo he wrote down 4.
4.
DiVincenzo had a 3 on number 17.
17, yeah.
And he walked in the scorer's tent, and he threw his card down says, "Here, Roberto, check your card." Well, he just signed it and walked out of the tent. Now that has happened a lot on the tour. It doesn't happen today. It could, but it doesn't happen because it's an embarrassment to the tournament when that kind of thing develops. So that brought about scorers walking with the players in the PGA Tour. It brought about somebody checking your card in the scorer's tent. So he came. He just left. He didn't sign his scorecard. Well, everybody wanted to assassinate Tommy, and while I was standing by Roberto when he uttered those famous words, "Oh, what a stupid I am."
Wow.
And across the room, Jack Nicklaus was telling the writers, it's not Tommy Aaron's fault. And it wasn't. But a lot of people held that against him. Bob Golby told me for years, a lot of people held it against him for winning the tournament. If you know the rules of golf, I mean, it's unfortunate when the ball bounces wrong for your team, but if it bounces right, then you're smiling. But it's fun. And I think we talked briefly earlier in the week, Rob, about number 17 on Saturday with Nick Faldo. And
yesterday, yep.
Yeah, Faldo, I watched him play 17. He took an extraordinary amount of time. I thought he might have a penalty call against him. About a 20-foot putt, as I remember. He wanted to make that putt in the worst way because he knew that if he parred 18, he'd be paired with Norman. And a 6-stroke lead in their rivalry wasn't enough for Greg Norman. At St. Andrews earlier, before then, he really put on a shot-making clinic and destroyed Norman. And it must have gotten to Norman overnight because he couldn't draw the club back. And so there are a lot of interesting stories. And I didn't know about all of that until I heard Colin Montgomery's comment about it in the clubhouse one day. And so when he left later in the day, I happened to be walking out of the clubhouse and I saw him, went up and asked him. He said, yes, Faldo knew that if he got paired with Norman, he could win.
You told that story yesterday, and I've since told it about 45 times. It was what a fantastic story of Faldo making the putt on 17 on Saturday and doing this and knowing he's going to be paired with Norman. Gosh, Mr. Smith. Yeah, I mean, this is such a pleasure to be on a Zoom looking Hollywood Squares format with you, because that's incredible. The stories you have, and you think about the mental fortitude of Roberto DiVincenzo and Bob Goldby back then. Oh, what a stupid I am. And nowadays, if someone had signed the wrong scorecard and he didn't win the Masters as a result, and someone had handed him the wrong scorecard to sign, and then someone else wins a green jacket he should not have won, that would be crushing, devastating. And yet, that was on a Sunday, and then Monday they moved on with their lives and put it behind them. And I think DiVincenzo's major happened after that. I believe he won a British Open after that. I could be wrong, but that's.
I don't remember. He may have won it before then. I just don't remember. He was a fine player and a jovial gentleman, and everybody enjoyed Roberto. But he just. Tommy said I was concentrating on making a 3-foot putt on 17. And then I'm thinking about him needing a 4 to win, and I just wrote down 4. And Goldby told me that it happened to Roberto again after the Masters. He didn't take it.
Wow.
But it was not a major tournament, but some tournament somewhere.
Guys, I was going to comment. Sorry if I walked on you, Dave.
No worries.
Would someone tell Sam Bennett, this Texas A&M Aggie, that he's supposed to be nervous? I mean, the kid.
Great segue. Absolutely.
The kid. And then, by the way, John Rahm is at 11 under now, creeping up on Koepka. So we might have a competition the rest of the weekend.
That's fantastic. Thanks for the update. Yeah. I hope Sam Bennett has a great next 2 rounds. It's been so fun to watch him play. The way he goes after the ball, I mean, there is no fear in his downswing. And I mean, shit, if I was an amateur playing, in the Augusta National, the Masters, I wouldn't be able to take the club back. But the way he goes after the ball without fear is really inspiring.
I'm sure y'all saw the interview in the after his round, but for him to say, that was just beautiful how he's tattooed that reminder on his arm of that. He said everyone is cheering me. Their way of cheering me on is, come on, man, Sam, you can be the low amateur. And he said, not so fast, my friend. I'm paraphrasing. There's a green jacket at stake, and I'm playing to try to win this thing.
Yeah,
that would be nice. I think Bobby Jones would rise up from the grave and come help celebrate. He always wanted somebody, and he thought Nicholas might be the one to try to have a career as an amateur, as he did. But I wonder how many agents are hanging around that young man now.
Agents and eligible bachelorettes.
Both. Yeah, it's been a long time. I think Billy Joe Patton in '54, Ken Venturi in '56. I think that was like the last time. Ryan Moore years later, was in the top 10 for a while, but it's been the last time that since the '50s that an amateur has been on the first page of the leaderboard, I believe.
Well, let's see.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Ken Venturi came the closest.
Yep.
He lost on Sunday in the most blustery conditions, but he shot something like 80.
He was leading the tournament, I believe, in '56,
right,
and shot an 80 on Sunday, and then in '60 he was the leader in the clubhouse. Your first Masters, and Arnold Palmer parred 16, birdied 17, and birdied 18, finished 3-3-3 to win over Venturi.
And that was some say he became embittered, and I knew Venturi pretty well, had a good relationship with him, but I always admired Venturi because he was a really overt stutterer, and for him to overcome that and become an announcer at the 18th green, he was the one that came up with the line, "The Masters begin on the back nine" on Sunday.
Yep.
And I always admired Ken for that, but he finally broke through. He won the U.S. Open at Congressional, and I remember he didn't have some nice things to say about Arnold Palmer, who played a second ball because it was plugged on
12. Yep.
12th hole. So just if it'd been normal wind conditions, he might have won, but he also played badly. And traditionally, Byron Nelson had played with the leader, but they thought because of his relationship with Venturi, who was a close friend, they wouldn't let him play with Byron on Sunday, and that might have upset him. I don't know. I never did talk to him about that. I didn't agree with him, and because the Augusta National had a meeting and the hierarchy and decided that Arnold was correct in playing a second ball. And I don't think I just don't think that in golf, if you really are true to the game of golf, the rules of golf are honored explicitly. And that's why I think golf is so good for kids, because you have to call penalties on yourself.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd like to offer a, I guess, slightly provocative opinion and get you more veteran observers of golf to weigh in on it. It seems to me that, which is not original on my part, that the curious thing about the great game of golf is that arguably, except for the controversy with Liv, and it's interesting that Koepka's in the lead, and we'll see how fans process and react to that. As for me, I don't wish any golfer ill. It's just not the way to do it. But the sport itself, the professional game, has never been stronger. And every year you see this name come along, unless you're Dave Tompkins, that follows it at a granular level. Guys I've never heard of that are third on the dang leaderboard in Augusta, this kid Bennett. But then step away from that, and from a recreational point of view, I see the sport having some challenges, and it's probably reflective of the millennial and younger generations. Are you kidding me? You're asking me to give up 5 hours of my time to stare at my smartphone and play video games? And so I think courses and keeping people into the recreational, lucrative, profitable, billion-dollar industry side of that is a little bit at odds with the real health of the professional game. I'll start with you, Dave. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that this is a personal story, so it's for whatever it's worth. But I think golf brings out the best in me. I mean, I think that's there's someone a lot smarter than me said golf is a metaphor for life. And in my life, I turned 60 this summer. I've done some made some stupid decisions, done some wrong things. Haven't always lived by the my West Point honor code: a cadet will not lie, cheat, or steal, or tolerate those who do. But that never made its way to me playing golf. And I was in a member guest at Greystone where you were. And I was on 14 on the Legacy and the bunker on the left. And on my backswing, my ball touched the ball. My club touched the ball, moved a little bit out of its pitch, and I knocked it like 3 feet, which I can't do. It was a great shot of my life, but I moved the ball, and no one saw it. And I'm walking up, and everyone's saying, "Hey, birdie conceded, you win the hole." And I'm like walking up, I'm like, you know what? If I don't call that on myself, I will live with that for the rest of my life. And I won't be able to sleep at night because I cheated in golf. And I'm like, oh my, and this was like 15 years ago. And I've, sometimes, when I wake up in the middle of the night, I, think about it, and I'm like, good Lord, Dave, live your life like you lived in that bunker on the 14th hole at Greystone Legacy, because that's what golf is. And to take golf away to move to video games or video golf and stuff, I don't like the stuff that Tiger and Roy are doing with trying to grow the game that way. I mean, be out there on the course, play by the rules, and let that pervade into every aspect of your life. And I think the world would be a lot better. That's me on my soapbox.
That's beautiful, but you wouldn't have any problem. And there's nothing worse than when if I ever get a hole in one, it'll be when I'm playing by myself, right? And there will be.
But as long as you're honest about it, it's cool, right?
No, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna let it go quietly because no one will buy it, And by the way, we had a former president who will remain unnamed that had no struggles with fudging on how the scoring was actually working. You can figure that president out, Rob.
Yeah. And unfortunately, there's 2 presidents, one on each side of the aisle that cheated at golf, and so you don't have to have a political affiliation to.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But now, Dave, you wouldn't have any problem with creativity about courses, public and other courses, promoting, for example, just playing 9 holes late in the afternoon.
Jack Nicklaus said a number of years ago at one of the courses he designed that if they asked him if you could do one thing to change better the game of golf, he said, I would build 12-hole golf courses. 12 holes is perfect. 9's not enough. 18 is too much.
I love it.
12 holes, 3 hours. You can do it in a half a day, and that's what Mr. Nicklaus said. And he obviously knows a lot more about golf than any of us, and it seems to make sense to me.
But meanwhile, sort of contradicting my point, my son-in-law, who's finishing his neurosurgery residency, and my daughter, and he have a baby coming in June. My other daughter, twin daughter, baby coming in July. So wild summer ahead. But y'all you're familiar with Lake Martin, I'm sure, Dave. And the Heritage course or club, which is new there, the Wicker Point Golf Club. I'm not going to burn your eardrums by even telling you the sticker shock to join that. So apparently golf, even at where you can't hide money, is still alive and well, Rob.
Now, Loran, we're about to go to a break. Loran, when we get back, just aside from what Dave and Doug were just talking about, the honor part of golf. Your honor is dearer than your life. I don't know of any other sport where that applies more. And I want to get your commentary on that. And then got a text from one of our listeners, Artemis Pyle, Jacksonville, Florida. And he says, the amateur we're talking about was sure to thank his 8 sponsors yesterday. That may be NIL. So interesting sidebar there, but right back with Loran, Dave, Doug after this.
Red River Ford and Toyota, located in Wynne, Arkansas. If you're in the market for a new or used car, truck, or SUV, call, go online, or drop by and see them. Located 45 minutes from Memphis, go off the 4-city exit on I-40 and go north about 15 minutes on Highway 1. Easy to work with and still believe in customer service. If you live out of town, they will deliver your vehicle to you. RedRiverFordToyota.com. Just see what they can do.
Strengthen your seed zone this spring with quality tillage equipment from House Industries. Located in Cherry Valley, Arkansas, House Industries specializes in manufacturing superior equipment that will minimize your downtime and keep you working in the field. To ensure the highest quality control, all design, fabrication, and testing takes place in a 99,000 square foot manufacturing facility located right here in the heart of the Delta. Locate your nearest House equipment dealer online at houseindustriesinc.com.
House Industries, breaking ground.
Sidelines with Rob Browne. Talk sporty to me.
Rob Browne back here with this distinguished panel of golf savants. This is incredible stuff. Loran, let's get your take on what you heard Doug and Dave say, and just on the general game of golf. And this is good stuff.
Well, I think honoring the rules comes down to what you do at your local club. I grew up on a farm, and I got introduced to golf by a Baptist preacher of all things. And I didn't know about the rules. And then I got to college, and I learned a lot more. And I got the golf coach, became something of a mentor. Succeeded him as business manager at Georgia. And everybody would improve their life. It was just standard. And I think about a friend of mine, Tommy Dudley, who may be working the Masters this year. I haven't seen him. But he became a rules expert. He works a lot of tournaments. I think he's worked a couple of majors other than the Masters. I know he's worked the Masters before. He was playing with some friends one day, just a casual game, and one guy had his best round. He shot something like 72 or 3 when he'd normally shoot 80, and he looked at Tommy and said, you think I could compete on the tour? And Tommy said, well, not with all the rules you violated. Because you broke about 15 rules today that would have set you back. And they said, what do you mean, Tommy? Said, well, moving your ball in the fairway. He said, well, everybody does that. He said, well, they don't do it on the tour. So if you think about wanting to get to tougher competition, you got to remember there are rules that have to be honored. So everybody does that. But still, I think you, even with fudging on improving the lie, which is done at a lot of places outside the winter, you don't fudge on your score. You don't do things like that. But how many times? I don't know. I don't play golf anymore. I don't have the dexterity at my age to play the game. I love it. But how many people still play with a mulligan? Does that take place at golf courses now? I don't know. But
slows play.
Probably some people, places they let you take a mulligan. Can you imagine getting a mulligan at the U.S. Open, at the British Open, at the Masters? Greg Norman needed a mulligan on Sunday. If he could have had mulligans on Sunday, he might have won another major.
The second shot on 18 and 86, the 4-iron, he fanned right. If he had a mulligan there, for sure.
Loran,
probably wins.
Got a question from one of our listeners. This is interesting. Bob Euchre down in Valdosta says, ask Loran if he ever played golf with Leonard Postero of Leonard's Losers. Did you know him?
I think I might have played one round with Leonard. Leonard was a pretty good golfer. What Leonard was, he was a competitor. So
Leonard's loser.
Yeah, I've seen people who, didn't have the greatest talent, but boy, they weren't going to lose.
So who is Leonard's loser this weekend? Is it Brooks or John Rahm?
If you and Doug both know that he worked with Larry Munson from 72 till Larry retired, I guess in 08. And I love to ask Loran, could you imagine Larry Munson playing golf or calling golf? Loran, what do you got there on the back nine? And just the incredible personalities. But y'all just all summed up why golf is so important for kids to learn at a young age. Is it's about honor. And I grew up playing tennis. I love tennis. And golf, you can have conversations with people. Tennis, not so easy till after the game. And sometimes you're not in the mood to really talk, but golf, it's relationships and trust. Without trust, you don't have relationships, and vice versa. And Loran, all of y'all, the stories and the colorful stories about this, that Ken Venturi, I never knew that he stuttered like that and overcame that. It's kind of like my friend George Gaddis's father said, everybody knows Helen Keller because she was blind, but they don't talk about what she did with that. She had a whole life outside of that. We need more stories and examples like that. Somebody, the movie 300, and the man lost an eye in battle. He said, it's okay. The gods were kind enough to give me a spare. You move on. That's what golf teaches you. I love this.
If there's a book I would encourage the listeners to read, it's called The Match. And it was a match that took place in 1956 at Cypress Point, right before the Bing Crosby Clambake, now the AT&T. And it was two pros, Byron Nelson and Ben Hogan, versus two amateurs, Ken Venturi and Harvey Ward. And it basically profiles the match. They all shot lights out. The pros won one up, but it also profiles the lives of the four participants. And it tells you everything you need to know about golf, honor, controversy, fame, heartbreak, everything. It's a 2-hour read, and it's so worth your time to read that book, The Match. I would highly encourage you to read that.
I'll order it today.
Loran, here's another question. Dave Cody out in Bellingham, Washington, a golf fanatic. Dave was a sports anchor for 36 years in Austin, Texas, and knew Ben Crenshaw and Matthew McConaughey. He knew everybody, still knows him. Works on a beautiful golf course now, right on the hills of Mount Baker, which is 10,726 feet, beautiful snow covered. He said they have a media lottery next day, and some get to play the tournament set up on Monday. Wonder if Loran ever played it. My buddy Ed Clements, who announced Dell Match Play, did.
Well, I was very fortunate. I got to play against several times over the years, but I didn't have to depend on the lottery to get in on Monday following the tournament. So I wanted to let some other guy play in the media, first of all, and secondly, I needed to get home and get back to my day job. So I never did get into the lottery. I never did ask to play on Monday. But I did get to play it a number of times, and it's just walking the golf course is a great inspirational feeling. You just can't beat the territory of the grounds there. It's just wonderful.
Loran and Dave, maybe Rob's got some intel. Maybe once and for all on this show, one or both of you can put to rest the question I have, a lot of people have about Augusta. Where are the speakers hidden with those songbird noises? There's no way. There's no way a normal robin. I'm in the woods all the time. Is the ambient noise. The microphones are not that good. Come on, fess up.
Oh.
Well, I think might be a little
enhancement.
Might be a little videotape in the archives.
And yet the practice round, I've been there 2 times. It was, and I love the practice rounds for obvious reasons. It's more relaxed. Of course, there's nothing like if you were there on a Sunday when Tiger drained a putt to win it. But I carefully looked all through the trees. I was hearing songbirds, not seeing any, but I never could find a speaker. So just one of those mysteries.
So I have to do a little plug to the Derby. So my first year at running the Kentucky Derby, I went up to New York to NBC Sports and met with Mr. Dick Ebersol, and I was comparing the Derby to the Masters as I can, be a little, too loquacious as I am. And he said, "Let me tell you something. When you come to talk to me about the Derby, you fly to New York to see me. And when CBS comes to talk about the Masters, they fly down to Augusta National to see them." Mm. Therein lies the difference. I'm like, okay, I got
it. I can't call them snobs, Dave, because you can still get an egg sandwich for
$1.50. Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Exactly.
And you can get grits and fried chicken too.
It's a brand power. It's power, a brand that they've earned. It's not something they bought. They've earned it going way back to Bobby Jones and Clifford Robertson. So I salute them. Even as I made multiple trips to New York.
Dave, I bet you, and I don't want to get on a rabbit trail too bad, but I bet you have met my dear friend Matt Scalisi, who had a big hand in the Golf Channel in its formational days. No,
I have not met him. I know who he is. I was buddies with Mike McCarley, who became the president of Golf Channel and is now running the Tiger Woods Rory McIlroy venture. A great legacy from the Golf Channel that starts, I guess, with Arnold Palmer. Amazing. Back in, I believe, in 1980. Yep.
I'm getting so much, Loran and Dave and all of y'all. We're getting so much information coming in from people listening all over the place. And, they offered $800 million for Robert Plant, Jimmy Page, and John Paul Jones to get Led Zeppelin back together. They turned it down. For a smaller fee, we're going to put one of the great bands back together. Lauren Smith, bring on Buddy Martin down in Gainesville, Florida, GatorBaitMedia.com. And Lauren, what do you got, buddy? You and Lauren have told some of the coolest golf stories I've ever heard in my life on this show. But let's keep this thing rolling. And Lauren, appreciate you staying on extra with us, but I did not want to let you get off without getting to say hello to your friend Buddy down in Ocala. And by the way, Buddy, Dave Tompkins used to run Churchill Downs up in Louisville, and I told him the horse capital of the world in reality, because of the limestone in the soil, is Ocala, Florida. So let's get going.
Hey, good morning to you guys. Hey, right now, and Lauren knows this, I'm trying to get Tiger Woods home, okay? I'm saddled him right now. I'm worried about him. Is
he still 2 over?
He's +3 now. Okay. And in order for him to get in, Justin Thomas or Kim have to bogey Lauren. And, wow. This would be break his consecutive streak of 22.
23
breaking at 22, yeah. If it happened, and Lauren and I have sat there many years and watched this in the old Quonset hut and back with the days. And good morning to you there, Coach Smith. Good to see you again. And Dave and Doug. And this is a great day. I mean, you get Masters from the get-go, Lauren. We get it all day. Good morning, Browne. What a dramatic day it's been so far. Tiger in misery out there. You can see him, Lauren. You know how he's hurting. He's just struggling. Everything he's got is really a testimony. You talk about true grit. That's it, Lauren, isn't it?
I certainly would agree. He's really, he's obvious that he's playing in pain, and I just hope he can have a good life. If he doesn't have a great, I wouldn't sell him short. I think he'll wind up on the Champions Tour. He'll get fixed.
Okay, Justin Thomas just bogeyed. That means Tiger's going to get in.
The cut line just moved down. That's amazing. 23 in a row.
Tiger is cool. Tiger's T50 right now.
Wow, that's incredible. they're Tiger lovers and haters, but gosh, what a compelling figure he's been his entire life. Since he appeared on the Merv Griffin show when he was like 3 years old. With his dad. You know, it's and to be able to like play golf now with all the injuries and stuff between his ears he's had, it's he's still my hero. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, I love the guy. You know.
Loran, not to go old school real fact, but I never was more true. The famous quote, "The Masters starts at the back nine on Sunday." Than the year Tiger played his first event, he shot 40 on the front his first round, right? And what happened?
40-30. He shot a 40 on the front and a 30 on the back.
Right. So Lauren's sitting there over the years. You've probably been to 50. I think I've been to 32. And, you know, it still never gets old, this drama. And you look at when I go here and I hear Vern Lundquist's voice again, thank you, Vern, on 16, you know, that's the only place you hear it. When I look at that, I know you do too, Loran. I wouldn't say we know every blade of grass on that, but pretty darn near. So it's almost like a one time a year when you just close it off, you focus on the event. I love it today. We get wall-to-wall Masters. This is a great day for golf watchers and Loran for Masters lovers.
Certainly is, buddy. And you just get a feeling when you walk on the grounds. Of course, I get a feeling when I walk the old course at St. Andrews, but there's a feeling, and I've heard golfers for years talk about choking when they drive down Magnolia Lane. You know, you think about where you are and what's taking place. Sometimes the field has been criticized at the Masters, but a lot of guys have won tournaments, won one major, and it might be Augusta, could be the U.S. or the British or the PGA. But like Dave Marr, he won the PGA, and he felt like that validated his career. But to win at Augusta is so special. Now, most golfers that I know, including Nicklaus, said if he had a choice, he would want to win the U.S. Open first because it's a national open of it's a national championship of your own country. So you put that one number one. But for the pure pleasure and fun of being a Masters champion is really something special. Tommy Aaron was talking about the fact he can't play anymore. He's got neuropathy. But he just couldn't miss the Champions Dinner, just couldn't miss walking out on the golf course. And he brought a friend, and they were going to play 9 holes. And, you know, I remember Herman Kaiser. I can't remember his age, but he wanted to play one last time. I've forgotten the year now. And the weather just turned awful. But he got through, but he shot 80-something on Sunday, and he said his hands were frozen. And he just, but he wanted to play one more time. And I don't know, buddy, you probably know. I think Andy Dotson wrote about Hogan going out the last time and just hitting a couple of balls. It was one day, and it wasn't.
Loran, if you can hold that thought, I want to hear this story. We all do. We're going to take a quick break and come back. This is absolutely priceless stuff. Sidelines in a moment.
Hi, I'm Eleanor Maynard, a 4th-generation residential broker with Hobbs & Realtors. Inventory is still a record low in Memphis, and the demand for more supply is continuing to spread across the Mid-South. Rates are starting to stabilize, which means the number of buyers is picking up daily. If you are interested in taking advantage of today's market, please give me, Eleanor Maynard, your Sidelines Live residential specialist, a call today, and let's discuss your needs. 901-761-1622 or directly on my mobile, 901-219-1905. That's 219-1905.
Loran, you were walking us down this story. Let's keep it going.
Well, the story was that Ben Hogan went out, didn't say anything to anybody, just went out and hit a couple of couple of drives, maybe 3, and that was it. He knew that might be his last time. We had an old quarterback here back in the Notre Dame box days, became the business manager at Georgia, and he was way up in his 80s, and that ain't so old anymore, buddy. And he just asked he had a handyman chauffeur type to take him up and let him drive through the campus. He just wanted to see it one more time. Well, that passion runs through the bloodstream of all college alumni, all schools. And it's nice to know that the champions have that same sentiment too. They just want to go back to where they had great glory, or go back to the activity that has meant so much to them, and just experience it one more time.
I agree, and I don't want to be rude to Dave and Doug here, but when I get a chance to talk to Loran about this, I get a little greedy. So if I could just throw this, in, this is how, when I was young and stupid, back before I was an old man, I went to my first Masters in 1966, and I think that was the years I remember. In the third round, the guy named Ben Hogan shot 66 that day, and I went out to the 18th green. And I watched him hit up, and these people went crazy. I thought, what's all the excitement about here? Ben Hogan, if you knew who Ben Hogan was and how he was revered by Dan Jenkins.
Yes.
Ben Hogan, who once said the magical phrase, and I brought it up last week to Urban Meyer talking about this, the secret is in the dirt. Ben Hogan, who invented practice, invented it, okay? Ben Hogan, who won 2 Masters, who came back and won the U.S. Open after being a horrible car wreck. There's an analogy that I want to talk about. Yeah. With Tiger, who, by the way, if anybody was prepared for this misery, and if you watched him, water dripping off his cap, his eyes puffed up, trying so hard to make that putt at 18, just grimacing, and the picture of agony, right? But remember this about Tiger. His dad was a Navy SEAL. Tiger went one time and trained with the Navy SEALs, and boy, did he need it. He needs it right now to get home, to make the cut one more time, like you said. Hogan had one more time, Tiger one more time, and Loran, you nailed it. Everybody who ever rooted for a program or a college just wants to go play and see that one more time. What a great day it would be if this happened.
All Tiger talks about is digging in the dirt, and that's a quote from Mr. Hogan. It's
nobody. Let me just say this: as someone that is a tennis player that is fascinated by golf because of the mental part of it, Doug, Dave, Loran, buddy, I have never heard it put like that before. To where you're watching Tiger, it is like a football game. His father was a special ops guy. I mean, a Green Beret, Navy SEAL, incredible. And that's the allure that makes people want to watch every single bit. You cannot get enough Masters coverage. But buddy, that's why, Loran, you know what a great writer, and Dave and Doug, he is, buddy, you're so damn good. But the water dripping off his hat, him just grimacing, and the pain and the hell he's going through, but he's finding excuses to win. And he'll remember that's who he is. I love that. Buddy,
finding reasons to win. Finding reasons to win.
Yeah, Rob's quote, excuses to win, always is a brain teaser for me. I was going to, what I'm going to ask or comment on and get y'all's reaction to has obviously been written about, films made, quotes from all the greats in professional golf. But it still bears, for those, if nothing else, those that a little newer to spectating in golf, the question, why is it, what specifically, and of course there are many things, makes the Masters tournament at Augusta National so special? And there are many things. It's course design. It's the link to the early foundational years a century ago of the greats, Bobby Jones and Hogan and all of them that we don't have time to name. But I think I would love your opinions on what another thing by rule at Augusta National that makes it unique, maybe compared to, I guess it has no other, and I refer to the lifetime exemption. Imagine Sam Bennett What if he does the unthinkable and goes out and wins the damn thing tomorrow? By the way, Rahm has pulled back. He dropped back to 10 under. He's at 11 under now, just one stroke behind kept to the leader. But Sam Bennett wins it. It's not that he'll quit working on his game and he'll want to go out and compete and win other majors. But the lifetime exemption, besides that, of getting you, if you will, set for life to an extent, if only through endorsements and visibility, you're going to be in that tournament every year, no matter how bad your game becomes. But it also it puts you in the fraternity who in that green jacket, am I right, Dave, who get to go back every year for that special dinner and all of the festivities that go with it. I can only imagine the marketing power, even if you leave golf and you're in sales or whatever, of being able to be recognized for having won a Masters. But start with Dave, and then the others can.
Yeah, I'll start because the pros on the Zoom call. I'm an amateur. the pros on the Zoom call have more compelling stuff to say. But from age 20 to 30. Bobby Jones was the greatest athlete in the world back then. He was the greatest and the most famous athlete in the world, and he was an amateur, and he quit at the age of 30, and walked away from fame, walked away from NIL and the transfer portal and all that way back when, and then he took a little pause for a couple of years, and then he said, I'm going to build Augusta National, and I'm going to create the Masters. Wow. And that's my answer to that question. Is it here you have this person who was the king. I mean, for 10 years, and 10 years is a long era in sports. And he was the greatest athlete, not only in golf, but in the entire world for 10 years. And then he walked away from it. The only parallel I can draw is maybe Sandy Koufax pitching for the Dodgers, and he also retired at the age of 30. But Sandy, bless his heart, nowhere near Bobby Jones in terms of the stature that he gained and the impact he had. Even though I think Sandy was maybe the best pitcher ever, but he walked away, and then his one legacy his one sort of here's my legacy is the Masters. And I think that's why. That's my opinion.
Buddy, you and Loran, I mean, just hearing that, I want to hear this response. I mean, we've got Led Zeppelin here on. Let's go. Bobby Jones at 30 retired. That's unbelievable.
Well, you asked the question, what makes the Masters? I know Loran's got his reasons, and I'll just say that Bobby Jones invented the Masters. He didn't know he was inventing the Masters. Okay, he just wanted to have a clam bake and have the. And what made it so successful was all the writers in the baseball in spring training in Florida who took trains to the north, and Grantland Rice being among them. They encouraged him to stop in Augusta and come to this event. And that's how it became what it became, because the great writers of that era made the Masters what it was then. The Masters was the Masters. Edmund Pope told me when I was a puppy, just for one of the early years of the Masters, he said, this is the greatest sporting event in the world. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? I mean, I like golf and all that, but it took me a while to figure it out. But there's one reason in particular. Loran, you can speak to it, and Doug, you can too if you want to. For me, it's just like right now. I'm transported back in time when I see the Masters. I wouldn't say we know every blade of grass there, but we know a lot about it. I know when those trees fell at 17. So did you, Loran, yesterday when they fell, which is unusual. I had to laugh. I tweeted out, if a tree falls at Augusta and Brooks Koepka is busy shooting 12 under and didn't hear it, did it really fall? You know, and every
philosophy.
Every blade of grass. I mean, but what makes it? And I'll shut up after this. And Arnie talks about it in his early years. When you drive up Magnolia Lane, I mean, they can't do that anymore. And drive up there and see that clubhouse. There is something magical that takes over in a way I can't explain it. And I only learned it when I moved up north and started working after covering from the south. Is that it's so damn cold you can't move. It's miserable outside, and it's dark gray sky. all that stuff. I lived in Newark a long time. I saw a lot of gray skies. Whatever. When you get on an airplane, especially when you're coming from the Final Four, and you fly into Augusta, you get off there at the airport, you walk out, see everything green and blooming and blossoming. You think, man, now I understand what the Masters is, because you saw all this beauty, right? And finally, what makes it so great when you go behind those iron gates off Washington Road and you see this event, this golf course that's been pretty much the same, changed a little bit all these years, and you know you're in a place where time has stood still, and it's still the Masters, still the same place, it's still magnificent. And boy, what a treat it is today to watch it from morning to night and watch this Masters. I am so blessed to be able to still be here and watch this.
Well, that's seconding of the motion from me. But I think that Bobby Jones had such great respect universally that people who were interested in golf wanted to support the Masters, and the players all were going to come. But early on, the Masters paid more. There's more money for winning the Masters. It wasn't much by today's standards, but it still was more than what you get elsewhere. And back then, in those early years, 30s, 40s, even into the 50s, if you finished in the money, you got the greatest respect because you took home a little money. Now, Byron Nelson, in times when you didn't get big money, still made enough to buy that ranch, which is what he wanted to do, and he retired early. He made a comeback in later years. But I think what makes the Masters is the tradition and the respect. The writers going north, as you said, Buddy, was a tremendous influence. And it had to be special that Grantland Rice not only was an advocate, he was a member. So there was great passion in his writing about the Masters. And then, but the centerpiece of all that was Bobby Jones. People just respected Jones, and they wanted to participate in something that he was involved with.
Loran and Buddy, and I'm not don't mean to leave Rob and Dave out, but y'all, I know that by virtue of your having your AARP card, like myself, that you'll appreciate this. I'm just relatively new enough to the spectating the great game of golf that back when in the 80s, I thought Amen Corner, I thought everyone just understood that Amen Corner was coined by the great coach Pat Dye in reference to the injustice that the Auburn Tigers every damn year had to play Florida, Buddy, Georgia, Loran, and the Crimson Tide every single year. And I don't care if the national championship was mythical and you had to please the AP writers and the coaches poll. That's an impossible task. Well, turns out, I just read up a little this week, Amen Corner, as y'all know, I'm sure, was first coined by the great writer Herbert Warren Wynn in my birth year, 1958. I'm ashamed to admit that, but still around anyway. And that was in his article titled "The Fateful Corner," April 21, 1958, in which he referred to that stretch of Amen Corner where Rays Creek intersects the 13th fairway. And Arnold Palmer, as y'all know, got an eagle on that 13th hole that helped him win that tournament in 58. So yes, Amen Corner goes back decades.
Amen Corner came from a spiritual, Loran. Remember? It was actually a black spiritual song where they'll be jumping on down on Amen Corner, right?
Shouting in the
Amen Corner. And Herbert Warren Wynn picked that up. I was on that photographer stand, Amen Corner at 12, early in my years. And Herbert Warren Wynn was standing behind me. I didn't really know him personally. I was too afraid to say hello to him. And I forget who it was, hit the ball in the water at 12, which a lot of guys have done on Sunday afternoon. And he said, well, there goes the Masters. I'll never forget that. And there goes the Masters. And it did, of course. And what a fantastic event. We're so blessed to have it. Guys, we talk about tradition, carrying on. There's nothing better than this. And for 1 week a year, I love college football, but everything else, including my Tampa Bay Rays, course, 7-0 odds might say, go on the back burner while they play the Masters.
Even if the songbird sounds are fake.
Well, these are not. They cut that out years ago. They used to have them, but the CBS, they didn't have them fake at one time. But I believe, Loran, you can bear me out. Frank Chukinian, who was around, would tell you that. They're real now. It's a special thing. I've been there many times in a photo stand. I've heard them many times. They're real.
Well, they are real, but I would prefer to say that they're pre-taped. I don't think they were fake.
There you go.
Well, let's say this: maybe the birds are real, and I don't care how they got there. It is a beautiful habitat around the course in the south, in the pines of Augusta, Georgia. But maybe what they're doing is the songbirds are real, but they put some ultra-sensitive microphones awfully close into those trees.
No doubt.
We only get to see the tee shot on the road hole at St. Andrews 17 once every 5 or 6 years. And that's an iconic tee shot and hole. And so it fades in our memory. And we forget who hit a tee shot there, whatever. But that shot on 12 that Buddy was talking about, we see every spring. And if we live in New York or Stamford, Connecticut, or wherever, it's freezing ass cold and it's spring down in Augusta and you see that shot. And I think that's part of it. It's just every year it's a rite of passage. It's the best Saturday of all year we have right now today. We're living in the present right now and we got golf on all day, and what could be better?
Just saw a great shot. Justin Thomas missed the cut. And he went +4, and Bones had his arm around him holding an umbrella. And now instead of Tiger, Justin Thomas, his good friend, won't be in the Masters.
That's amazing. Wow.
All right, we're going to take a break, come back for the final segment. And Dave, you just hit it. And Lauren, Buddy, and Doug, you would agree. Here it is. We hadn't even talked anything, college football or anything. That's how powerful the Masters is in the South. Whether you are a golfer or not, you're going to watch the Masters because history, traditions, and heroes, and what a blessed panel we have. One more segment right after this.
Red River Ford and Toyota, located in Wynne, Arkansas. If you're in the market for a new or used car, truck, or SUV, call, go online, or drop by and see them. Located 45 minutes from Memphis, go off the 4-city exit on I-40 and go north about 15 minutes on Highway 1. Easy to work with and still believe in customer service. If you live out of town, they will deliver your vehicle to you. RedRiverFordToyota.com. Just see what they can do.
Strengthen your seed zone this spring with quality tillage equipment from House Industries. Located in Cherry Valley, Arkansas, House Industries specializes in manufacturing superior equipment that will minimize your downtime and keep you working in the field. To ensure the highest quality control, all design, fabrication, and testing takes place in a 99,000 square foot manufacturing facility located right here in the heart of the Delta. Locate your nearest House equipment dealer online at houseindustriesinc.com.
House Industries, breaking ground.
Sidelines with Rob Browne. Talk sporty to me.
Speaking of this, I got some great stuff here from my friend Dave Cody. When he was out in Austin at Channel 7 as a sports anchor, he was playing Willie Nelson's 9-hole golf course. And Bobby, his pro, came outside and was yelling Nicholas updates. I mean, you just can't make the stuff up, and rolled up $100 bills in the club rental bags. No wonder he had IRS troubles. But it's unbelievable. The reaction I'm getting on here from people, for Lauren and Doug and Buddy and Dave. I mean, again, that's the power of the Masters. And Buddy, you said this one time,
Rob, that's Tiger draining.
Four, and then you're over to cover the Masters. Lauren, you talked about the writers, and Buddy, you said it would go to spring training and then come back up and go back up east. The influence, it just gets better. It's like that great bottle of wine down in the cellar, but it's never going to be put up for auction, is it?
Not as far as I'm concerned. Everything else is for sale in life. It seems like they just announced that the third round today will start at 3:00, and then Sunday they'll start at 2, which means the Masters doesn't really start till about 5:00 on Sunday. The leaders are playing the back 9.
So we have some time off between now and 3, I guess.
Yes.
Okay.
Go cut the grass. Yeah, go out and
cut the grass. Take a nap.
Yeah, that would be what I'm doing. Yeah. So, well, I just wanted to say there are other events going on. I'd be remiss for those 2 Gator fans who watch the show not to say that the Gator baseball team is kicking ass, and they did a number on Tennessee the last 2 nights. And if you haven't seen this guy, Jack Caglione, he is the Ohtani Loran of college baseball. He pitches and he hits just like him. He hit a home run last night in Knoxville, almost 500 feet. Hit it out in the parking lot on the right. They said they'd never seen a longer ball hit. So if you're a marginal fan, if you're a Gator fan, they play today too, by the way. I would suggest you start watching Gator baseball because this guy's amazing. I mean, every now and then you get to watch a guy like this. I felt blessed last few years, obviously, to watch Florida's superstar quarterback who's going to go top 10. He never reached his potential, but this guy, Caglione, he's getting it. He's going to be a top draft choice in 2 years. And if you like baseball at all, you like college baseball, I suggest you watch this. And don't forget one other thing. For Gator fans, it's payback as hell. Last year when Tennessee came to Florida and played here and kicked their ass, 3 Tennessee baseball players went into the Gator locker room and put on Gator football helmets and took a picture in Philadelphia. You think that picture's appeared a few times now the last couple of days? Yeah, it's everywhere.
Hey, buddy.
Are you going to be his agent, buddy?
I tell you what, I wish I was. By the way, that's happening in a lot of different places. There's a terrific player at Florida, guy, Browne, who, by the way, is going to be leaving Florida to go with AR to the pros. He's going to be not his agent, but his manager. So that does happen. Not to me,
I got a text from my friend Franz Beard last night, buddy, about Tony Vitello in Tennessee. He said, "Karma's a bitch, ain't it?"
Yeah. We sent those out last night. Couldn't help ourselves.
Guys, I know it's sacrilege to talk football on Masters weekend, but I'll do it anyway.
Let's do it.
Buddy and Loran especially, and Dave can comment as well, but I know it's just an A-Day game, but I really love the innovation of Hugh Freeze in today's messy, wet A-Day, which I'm sure will hurt attendance. Who cares? Just a glorified scrimmage. But the format is when you walk in, they haven't kicked off yet. It's defense versus offense, not blue versus orange or white. The defense has a 24-0 lead. And the offense must score. If the offense scores more than 24, they win. They get a steak dinner. The loser gets a hot dog. But if the defense holds them under 24, they win. What do you think about that?
I like it. Even more competitive. I like the idea of bringing these smaller schools in for spring scrimmages instead of having this. That would work great. Sure, raising money. And this week, Napier's endorsed that idea, as others have done. Go get a Bethune-Cookman or whoever, or Stetson and team, and bring them in and let them scrimmage against Florida, charge the mission, give it to charity. I love that idea. There's a lot of talk they might do that next year.
A real game.
Yeah.
Loran, real quick, you've been writing your book. Let's talk about your book on the 21 Georgia national champions. I told you last year, the way Georgia was playing, you're going to be writing another book. Are you just going to move permanently to the writers' colony in Sea Island or St. Simons and rough it out with other great writers?
He's already there.
No, I'm still in the minimum wage category
Me too.
with my books.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a good idea for a promo. And someone say, "What do you got, Loran?" I got a book.
Well,
we got two Auburn fans on
thinking
here, so I think NIL is the greatest thing that ever happened to Hugh Freeze. I think he's going to go to Auburn, and he can recruit the way he knows how to recruit in a way that got him in trouble before, and he'll be successful, and he can game coach, and he can beat Coach Saban. And I'm an enormous Alabama fan, as Rob knows, but I think NIL. Hugh Freeze and Auburn Tigers, that's a confluence of some things that's going to really bring Auburn back to the first page of the leaderboard in football, in my opinion.
Dave, you are too classy. I think you're setting me up with all of those kind words for us to get our hopes up, only to be dashed. And Loran, just so you know, Auburn family is well aware of the machine that Kirby has got rolling over in Athens. But I will say I'm intrigued if you could sum up. Some would say you could sum up the entire history of business and economics, maybe other enterprises, with this quote: "Nothing fails like success. Nothing fails like success." And the point being, your job is to build an organization and sustain greatness, like Jim Collins writes about. But it is damn hard to do, and eventually, age, illness, injury, fatigue makes cowards of all of us. And so anyone who doesn't have anything but glowing praise for Nick Saban is just not classy, or they're just delusional. And he's the GOAT, and Kirby's trying to challenge that greatest of all time status in the modern era. But I hope that Dave Tompkins is prophetic, that now that as Lane Kiffin said last summer at SEC Media Days, the NCAA has legalized cheating. Maybe at Auburn we'll be able to cheat and not be the gang that couldn't shoot straight for once in our history.
Well, you go back to that Jimbo Fisher quote, and he's absolutely right. When it first happened, he said some people would say you've had NIL around for a long time, and that's true. We all know that's true. And there's been players have been paid since the beginning of mankind. It's legal now, and we'll see how that plays out. But yeah. Listen, Auburn doesn't need any more help. They've had a great program. I heard Feinbaum talk about how you can win a national championship with Auburn. They've done it. They've proven it. They fire the coach after they win it. But anyway, the point is that Auburn is a place you can win the national championship. This guy knows how to coach, and I think there's some good days ahead for the Auburn Tigers.
Buddy, I would say this too, and proudly. Auburn is also a place where you can get one hell of a buyout when we fire you.
Yeah, well, Florida does pretty good too, by the way. Florida good. Dan Mullen did all right with his 13 mil. He didn't do too bad.
Loran, when we were all kids, and Buddy and everybody, y'all know this, we wanted to be a policeman or a fireman or a soldier. Nowadays, if you're a kid, you probably dream up wanting to be an SEC coach, get fired early, like Doug says, with a $25 million buyout. What a way to ride off in the sunset.
That's amazing. Nobody could graduate from a business school who allows that to happen.
Kirby screwed up. Kirby needs to get fired.
Yeah.
Well, I think that I remember a great SEC football player who became a coach. I was sitting around talking about schools that were cheating. Well, the truth of the matter is nobody's pure, nobody's clean. Some may do it to a greater extent than others. So his wife was saying, that's just awful to be giving money to a college kid. And husband said, well, you remember all that furniture, the refrigerator and the freezer they gave us when we got married. Yeah, well, that was illegal. She said, oh, I thought everybody was just being nice. So a lot of things have gone on, and I think it's sort of sad. Sometimes a school gets sent up for something that's not so major. It's like with Al Capone, couldn't get him for murder, but they got him for income tax evasion. So I know it's the greatest trade-off in history of our country to me is to play a sport and get a free education in return. But the education is taken out of it. the kids today, they don't really care about making an All-America. I can remember when making All-America was just the most amazing thing on campus. So
in the great words, Loran, excuse me for interrupting, but in the words of the great orator Steve Spurrier, no offense to any Alabama fans, let me just say this. Steve was recruiting early on and did okay. He said, then I found out Alabama's scholarships were worth just a little bit more than ours were.
Now. That reminds me, Rob, I'm taking dear old mom. Those of you who know Birmingham going back a few decades, my sisters and I are taking dear old mom to the historic Bright Star restaurant.
Oh, God. Bessemer, Alabama.
In Bessemer, which Coach Bryant and no small number of influential Bama fans have been very familiar with over the years.
a few blocks from where Bo Jackson grew up.
There you go.
Yeah. Loran just hit on it about there were nothing bigger growing up for all of us than being All-American. There were two things we waited for growing up. Anson Mount's Playboy All-American team to be announced, the preseason All-American team, and to be on the Bob Hope show as an All-American. I mean, it didn't get any better than that. And now I'm with you, but I'll tell you right now, I say it every week, the free market's going to fix this stuff. It's always, darkest before dawn. We're already seeing a tide turning. And Loran, you talk about that trade-off, and Maury Gaston has talked about it. The value of a 4-year education, a scholarship with all the benefits for a student athlete, football player at Florida, Auburn, Alabama, LSU, Tennessee, Georgia, it doesn't matter. It's probably worth $600,000 plus, buddy. And you know this, and Loran, you know this from all the guys that you've known that have played at Georgia. If you do it right, even if you're on the scout team, you got that letter and you graduate, you're going to have opportunities presented to you most men only dream of. I think that's a fact.
Okay. We're with you on that.
Yeah, I mean, back to Birmingham and Mountain Brook where I grew up, and you think about the life of Major Ogilvy, and
oh, yeah.
I think, y'all know, Major Ogilvy was a great running back at Mountain Brook, Alabama, Coach Bryant. He was the last person cut by the 49ers, the 49ers with Joe Montana, with Dwight Clark, and those multiple Super Bowl teams. So he was never a part of that. So he never really had a pro career. But you think about the life of Major Ogilvy and what he's done, and that was made available to him. I mean, he earned it. I mean, he absolutely earned it. But that was the life he had for a high school star at Mountain Brook, a college star at Alabama, not an All-American, but someone everyone knew. And he's still in Birmingham, very successful businessman. He's had a wonderful life, wonderful family, and that's what awaits, or used to await those types of All-American heroes. And Major didn't need NIL. He just needed to be Major Ogilvy, and he's been Major Ogilvy his entire life. And all of us, when we bump into him randomly or whatever, we remember being at Spartan Stadium at Mountain Brook, and when Major Ogilvy we were winning state championships and stuff, and we're little kids and stuff.
Dave, when I got to mention it, I know we're cutting out, but Major Ogilvy, I'm a proud John Carroll grad, home, obviously, of the great Pat Sullivan. And I was at John Carroll playing. I was a freshman on the team, so they didn't play much, but we dreaded playing Mountain Brook because of Major Ogilvy. And he got to where we are not punting to this cat. We're going to punt it out of bounds or something. He was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Loran and Buddy, what they just said, these players, and we all know them that go to schools, the fact that you are there and you do it right, you can set yourself up for incredible opportunities because people will respect you for never quitting. And that's, we need more of that. And I got to say this, we're about out of time. Loran, thank you so much for being on with us. And you're over there at the center of the universe right now, Augusta, and you've got your great book. Tell people how they can get your book, and then Buddy, tell them how they can follow you and your great show. But I'll go with you first, Loran, and Doug, incredible. Dave, incredible. But Loran, tell people how they can get your book.
Oh boy, I don't even know.
Lauren, you got to know this. This is important.
But you can email me. I know that works. and I'll send you to the right place. The University of Georgia Press actually published this book, for which I'm grateful. Great University Presses do great things, do historical books, primarily didactic kinds of books. But if you'll email me, and it's Loran Smith at sports.uga.edu, I'll forward it on to the right person. So I don't have, the reason I don't know is I'm not near any at my desk, so I can't remember the email address. But if you'll email me, Loran Smith at sports.uga.edu, then I'll send you to the right place with pleasure.
Loran, folks. Just remember that.
Yes,
Loran.
Right. Thanks, buddy.
I'm Googling it right now to find out. So I see all these books you've written, but I don't see that one yet. But anyway, yeah, thanks for having me on, Rob. Guys, good to be with you. I'm going to enjoy the rest of the Masters. You guys have a good day. It's a great day to be a sports fan. It's always fun to be on here. If you're around and want to catch us, we're on at 9 o'clock at night live 4 nights a week. And if you like stuff about the Gators, and some of you do, not many in Alabama, but a few, and in Georgia, you can go on to GatorBaitMedia.com, and we have a whole array of stories in there, including great stuff about French beer and others. So check it out. Thanks for having me on, Rob, and guys, good to see you.
Oh, look, thanks everybody. This is incredible. It's Easter weekend. Happy Easter, everybody.
Happy Easter.
The greatest country in the world. Most often we see the face of Christ in the least among us, but it is we the people. Look forward to being back on with you Monday. Again, until then, be with your families, count your blessings, and we'll see you tomorrow. We are out of here. Thank y'all.